Okay, short test. Does that work? Can you just give me a sign? Yeah, it works. Perfect. Fine. Thanks you. Thank you. Okay, so let's start. Our masterclass today is about creative multi-moment marketing. And we say it's a guide for brands to tackle the tech and tool landscape and build state-of-the-art campaign frameworks. And before we start right into the conversation and the presentation, we just have a short intro, like who's in the room and who is presenting to you. So it's Wioletta Schlosek. She's our Director of Digital Marketing in Berlin. Then we have Jannis Ritterspach, who's our Managing Director and Partner. We have Claire. She's a Senior Strategist and, oh, thank you. Didn't work then. And I'm Franziska, and I'm Head of New Business in Berlin. So now you know who's in the room, and I have 3 slides. Keep it really short and just tell you who we are as DEPT. We always say we are big enough to cope and small enough to care. What we mean by that is that we work on a global scale, but we have the culture of like boutique agencies, meaning we have like a high speed, we are really agile, we are flexible, and we have personal relationships in all the agencies we are at, and this way we help brands stay ahead. And we are super proud of the way we help our clients stay ahead. We love and live for innovation. That means that this is our everyday North Star. And we always look to improve what comes next. And we are future facing and aim to solve the problems of tomorrow by today. Why is it not working? No. Okay, and now the last question, and then I'm handing over, is what we are doing. We are actually combining technology and marketing services, while most of our global competitors only focus on one of the two. So we have 4 tech and marketing key disciplines we are working on. It's brand and user experience, engineering, growth, and creative. So we help clients to break down internal silos and support them, and us to create integrated customer journeys of the future and for the future. And with that being said, I will now hand over to Claire and talk about why you should start creative multi-moment marketing today. How are you? Here you
go. Is it working? All right, so I want to start with what everything starts with, which is answering the question of why, which is basically the answer to why you are here today. And then Vio will tell you what it actually is that you can do with it. And I want to start off with a quote from Deloitte Digital, which is that consumers expect to be treated by brands like they're treated by their friends. And if you think about it, it makes sense, because you often, when choosing for a brand, the emotional outweighs the ratio. It's like when you're choosing an iPhone instead of a Samsung Galaxy. For certain specs, it might make sense to choose the Galaxy, but the majority will prefer the iPhone anyways. It's when you start running and you could buy the shoe that all insiders and pro runners will recommend, but you want to buy into a community as well, so you buy the Nike running shoes. And it's also very simple at home. You can buy the Rituals shower foam, but you can also buy the private label shower foam, but then you don't get the full experience of treating yourself and this gonna. And this emotional connection is really important because it inspires long-term customer loyalty and thus increases your customer lifetime value. And what Deloitte has researched is that when people are describing their favorite brand, or they're describing their relationship with their favorite brand, they name 3 important emotional factors that play a role to this, which is 1, trustworthiness, integrity, and honesty. They're quite human emotions. And if you think about it, like if I would ask you to describe what you value about your relationship with your best friend, these 3 could also come up. And it shows how important it is to emulate these human emotions and establish this human connection with the customer that you're talking to as a brand. And of these emotional factors, the most important emotion into establishing this long-term customer connection on an emotional level is trust. And trust is based on 2 things. You want to gain the trust initially, but you also want to sustain it. We all know that trust, it comes and goes, but it comes slower than it goes. So it's super important to sustain this. And trust is based on two key ingredients, so to say, according to Deloitte, which is one, predictability, and the other, consistency. And this is not predictability in a way that Mother's Day is coming up, so you get a generic social ad from all these brands, and you get 5 newsletters that sell you the same message about Mother's Day and that you have to treat her well, and you actually only signed up for those newsletters to get the discount on the first order in the first place. And it's also not consistency in a way that you'll be chased by the same product ad of the shoes you looked at last weekend that you're not interested anymore in, or even worse, that you already bought. It's predictable in the sense that the customer knows that for every need that may arise in the future, especially the needs that they themselves cannot foresee, that you as a brand will be there to acknowledge these and will consistently show up with the right message at the right time through the right channel. So, in short, relevance in this is key. It is key for you as a brand to provide relevant, personalized brand experiences that is by now expected from the consumer if you want to stand a chance at long-term customer loyalty. And in that sense, the consumers and we also in the room have been conditioned to expect this by players like Amazon or Netflix that manage to not only meet your needs, but to exceed it. For example, at Netflix, they don't just meet the need of providing you with entertainment or providing you more specifically with the newest season to your favorite series. They actually manage to predict what your new favorite series will be. And that's the stage you want to be in as a brand. And to do this, it's not easy. And one main challenge that we're facing right now to do this is the current customer journey. So here we have the current customer journey, which we refer to as See, Think, Do, Care: awareness, consideration, purchase, and loyalty. But right now it has moved to this. And this is what Google refers to, this infinity loop, as the messy middle in the customer journey, where on the left side you have the exploration phase, the C phase of gathering information, listing up your initial set of options to choose from when you're looking to buy a new product or a new service, and the evaluation phase, which is the consideration phase, where you narrow this down. It's a reductive activity to narrow down this initial set of options. And ideally, after that, after the evaluation phase, you have the option that works best for you. However, right now, consumers tend to get caught, we call it the loop. They tend to get caught in this infinity loop. And it's not called infinity loop for nothing. They get caught in it, and they will be phasing between exploration and evaluation until they are confident enough to break out of it and purchase your brand. And this infinity loop, this phenomena of the infinity loop, has 2 main reasons. And one is in the exploration phase, when you're setting up your set of options and gathering your information, is the total abundance of choice that we have been spoiled with. It's abundant content, offers, brands, information that there is to find, which makes our initial set of options literally endless. I think we can all relate to this when we're looking to go on vacation, and you end up having 25 tabs open with all options that could possibly be interesting. But then, if you want to narrow your set of options down, we're facing something else that Google has identified, whereas 15 years ago, we were all chasing the cheapest option. And cheap, price, lowest price, it's quite an objective, personal filter, so to say, to apply on your initial set of options. But right now what has happened is this chasing the cheapest has gone to the background, and chasing the best has replaced it. And we're chasing the best, but what is the best? Is it the best price? Is it the best color? Best smell? Best battery life? Best looks? Best performance? It's super subjective, and it makes this decision-making process for the consumer very, very complicated. And this is where they need us, where they need you, to simplify this decision-making for them. So when they repeat this cycle of exploration and evaluation over and over again, they need someone to give them enough confidence and give them enough trust to eventually make this purchase decision and convince them that that is the best for them. So how do we break this loop and convince the customers, your customers, that your brand has been the one they've been looking for all along? And that's very simply put, to be present when they need you. It's about showing up on the moments that matter to them. And more specifically, it's about being present on the micro moments that matter to them. And micro moments are seemingly ordinary daily moments in the life of your very average customer. And this is where you want to target them. And I thought about this very, very cheesy line to make this more clear. It's this life is what happens when you're busy making plans. I think a lot of people know it. And life are these micro moments. And these plans are the moments that you as a brand are focusing on and predicting that they will be key defining moments in your customer life. But all the while, you should be focusing on the micro moments that actually can make a difference. And here, your goal must be to give your customer what they need on these specific micro moments along their customer journey. So that not only relevance is key, but resonance as well. Yes, your timing, your message has to be relevant, but it needs to do something. It needs to drive them to action. It needs to activate something within them. So you, as a brand, need to activate these micro moments in order for the customer to finally be confident enough to break out of it, which makes sense theoretically, right? So now imagine not doing this for one customer, which every single one in this room could do it for one customer, basically being their brand buddy, guiding them through their customer journey, but infinitely scaling this up to, 1 million customers at the same time. And that is what BCG refers to as multi-moment marketing. The first part of the reason why we're here today. It's a data-driven digital marketing automation approach that enables dynamic, personalized consumer experiences. And it allows you to go from a one-to-many, which we all know was in the past, unfortunately sometimes still is in the present, to a one-to-one. They would have a literal brand buddy on the brand side that would guide them through their everyday needs and help them out with everyday issues. But what we like to go to is a many-to-many, and multi-moment marketing allows for this. It's a one-to-one, but applied to many. And here, I was a brand manager myself, and whenever performance marketing would offer me with solutions that are data-driven, and especially the word automation, I was like, great. But what about branding? As a brand manager, when you hear automation, you immediately think that branding is out. And that is where we come in. So now I want you to imagine infinitely scaling up your personalized, branded customer experiences, because that's what we can do. It doesn't look automated. It feels like this one-to-one. And it is about having the ability to deliver relevant, branded content to customers and interact on this human level, as if you would have a brand buddy at multiple micro moments along their customer journey, making their experiences dynamic, personalized, and personal, which to me still is a difference. And that is exactly what creative multi-moment marketing is. And that's also why we're here today. It's the right message for you and for your customer at the right time through the right channel.
So cool. Thank you, Claire, for creating some interested, exciting faces I can see in the room. I hope this stays the same when we go into the operational and technical part now. So how can we bring this to life, and how can we make creative multi-moment marketing alive? So if we want to deliver the right message at the right time to the right channel, as we just heard, we have to bring three components together. First is creatives and communication. The second one is data insights on those micro moments. And the third one is how we can deliver this to the touch points. And if we manage to master this challenge, we will be able to really get in touch and in dialogue with our consumers. So how to tackle this? Let's start with the creatives and the communication. Step one will be you have to break down your communication strategy alongside the customer journey. And as we just heard, even though the customer runs into loops, switches from phase to phase, you are still able to cluster the whole customer journey into 4 pillars, which are exploring in the see phase, where someone is looking for inspiration. It's the think phase, where the specific question would be, what do I exactly need? Where the customer needs information or service about your product range. And the do phase, where someone specifically wants to buy something and needs guidance and enablement. So the 4th phase would be then care. What more is there to expect or to explore? And this is about service and inspiration. So this is something that can then be brought down to those micro moments along this journey. And now it already gets a little complicated. So we really have to identify our customers' micro moments alongside this journey. So I hope you can read this. It's big enough. The typical customer would, during their user journey, not only switch in between those phases, but maybe also through devices, several situations in their daily life. So it could start with someone waiting for their train, commuting, being bored, scrolling through social media, looking for inspiration. The next phase could be entered when that person arrives at home and already is in research mode and in the deep rabbit hole of search engines, comparing information and insights about products. And then they might be in the phase where they actually want to buy something. And this could happen anywhere. This could happen at home, but maybe they are out with friends in the evening and just telling them about that healthy food box that they just researched about the evening before. And that's where we need to be available and where we have to find the right messages. And even after this, when someone is already an existing customer, how can we keep them? How can we provide them with more relevant information and things that might be interesting for them? So that someone could be in the gym, training deep of all, after all this information they gathered deep in the knowledge of how to gain some muscle. And this could be something that is interesting for you, signals that you can build on. So, and now think about your customer. Think about the guy who's in the do phase. When he opens his phone, what is he going to do? He will probably open Google, and that brand better be visible on top of that search result page with the right offer and the perfect pricing alongside the products that he already researched. Otherwise, the competitor will be. So if we've managed to get into this, we still have step 3 and following. So we have to choose the right messaging for all of those phases and moments for the right audience. But also, we have to be promoting the best product at the most presumable touch point, in the best format, and of course also delivering our brand experience. That's a lot. And it really is a lot, but what I can tell you now, this is the groundwork, and if this is done, you will get so much easier with approaching this strategy. So what you can see here is an example from our Client Smart work that we've done, where we really broke down for every phase and every channel and every moment their personas are going through, what kind of message we want to deliver, what product might be interesting, what design elements we want to use, what we need, what CP, what activation we want to communicate at this point, and this really through all of the phases. Already looks a lot. This was for one persona and one product, the electric car they are selling. So it can get even more depending on how your product range looks like and your audience looks like, of course. So, but this is the biggest part. And if that is done, it's about creating all those elements to make it automizable. So we have to now think about design and copy elements that can be used to freely combine to our communication, to the right moments of our users, and really build a framework out of this. What are those elements and variables? This could be the featured product, for example. This could be the call to action, the campaign message, of course. Maybe the language, if we are going for a multi-market campaign. This could be, of course, image material, video material, or also secondary USPs that might be interesting towards that specific micro moments the user is going through. This is an example from our client Spotify, and you can already see how they still manage to transport their brand identity, even though we choose this approach, because the elements that you are seeing, they repeat, and they are combinable. So you can also do this not only for the think phase, where here Spotify communicate to discover several functions and product parts they have, but also switch to a premium user at some point. So when they've collected even more information about the user journey someone's going through, we start activating them to really get a premium account. And what was added here is basically the same elements as in the campaign part before, but now, for example, with another activation, with a nice offer, and of course, with a CPA-driven button. It's a little bit larger, so you get a better impression. So, and now it gets a little technical. And I guess that everybody in this room has seen these slides where agencies draw down big campaign architectures, technical components, and everything. And often we know that. We do this as well sometimes in pitches or strategy presentations. Often we get lost in this and don't understand them. Today will be different. We will build this architecture together. So everyone in this room, at least this is my aim, will in the end understand how a sometimes very complex looking topic like marketing technology can be easily understandable and it's not that complicated. So now we have the creatives in our communication with all the several elements we want to include. We also have some data insights that we already gathered. And these are the data insights on the micro moments that we've talked about in the beginning. We will later also talk about touchpoints and delivery, and of course steering and attribution for later stages in campaign management. The first tool that we will need at this point is a feed management tool, because we want to combine all those design and messaging elements with the data insights that we gather, for example, first-party data from your own CRM data, product feeds, or whatever there is that your campaign needs. We brought you a little overview on two tools that we really like to use when building such campaigns. The first one is Products Up, and it's a great tool if you are very image asset driven and want to try out this campaign approach, because it not only enables asset creation within the feed management tool and things like A/B testing, for example, so that you can play around with variants and create them either again and again. It's a great tool that also delivers templates that you can directly push into some DSPs or even other advertising networks. Then we have Channable, which is also a great tool, but for example, is more interesting if one of your main touch points in your customer's journey is search, because this tool is capable of managing large search campaigns with many dynamic elements, be it products, changing prices, availabilities, whatsoever, but might be not so interesting if you are going for an image-heavy campaign approach. So now we have our feed management tool in place, and we want to gather more data insights on those micro moments we were talking about. We want to add third-party data as well, and environmental insights. We can sharpen our messaging even more, and this could be things like, for example, audience segments from other parties or partners. This could be the location the user is currently at. This could be traffic information. Think about that person waiting at the train station, or weather data, for example, to really match that moment in the daily life of our consumer we want to address. Simply add it to your feed management tool and being influential on creating your asset. Touchpoints and delivery. So we now have everything in place, but we want to push it into the advertising networks, into our DSPs, into everything that we need to push our campaign into the world outside. And when creating personalized ads, there are basically two ways to do it. The first one is assets at scale. This is where everything that you've just seen is created before you push the ad into the advertising network. This is a great option for channels where you are not depending on signals coming out of the network, thinking of Facebook or other social channels. This is a great option, for example, for out-of-home campaigns or direct mobile placement. So when you want to try out a very simple approach for those channels, or if you have a product that is not so complex in messaging, this could be an option that is perfectly and ready to go for you. The other one is dynamic creatives, where we generate and export everything into the advertising system, but the asset gets created after the feed was delivered. So basically in between our architecture, which we've just seen, and the advertising network, and also collects back data from the network when the campaign is steered, so you can get smarter and smarter in your steering. If you go for asset at scale, we are perfectly done here. We can finish the presentation, but maybe you have a little bit more of a CI that you want to transport, maybe the templates that you are using from Products App or other tools aren't enough for what your customers might need or your messaging might need. So you could add a little design tool on top. We have our own, this is usually custom solutions. The one from DEPT is called Lightspeed, where you can even play around with more design elements and make it a little bit more sexy than the classic templates that we might be used to. So, and now let's talk about dynamic creatives. We broke this down into the several channels that are most common when we run campaigns for our clients. So we now want to be able, as mentioned, to generate and optimize our message alongside the audience signals that we collect from the advertising networks. Let's start with social. In this example, we added a tool to optimize specifically channels like Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok. Here it's Smartly, but I will show you a little overview on other tools that are in the market. And again, which tool you are going to choose for your campaign architecture definitely depends on what you want to gain in this channel and in this part of your campaign. So, for example, Smartly and Spirable are very, very strong in this dynamic creative approach and can be filled with basically everything that you can think of in terms of design elements, messaging, etc. This tool perfectly generates very individual assets and is also optimizable by the signals we gain from the network. So, meaning performance steering over Smartly is possible. We have other tools that are not so strong in the creative asset generation, but for example could be interesting for you if you think of Kensho, for example, when cross-channel attribution is one of the most important parts of your campaign tactics. But yeah, this is basically a little overview to make everyone aware that the needs of your campaign are the base to choose the right tool for that. So another one for display and video steering, and in this case also search, is the Google Marketing Platform. We choose here as an example because it contains a tool called Google Studio, which makes it so easy to push dynamic creatives into the most common publisher placements. So we still know that there are others, right? So all these tools that you can see here, Google Studio, Xander, Adform, also parts of Adobe or Criteo are basically DCOs. And what we see in the market is that 5 years ago, DCOs were single tools that could be bought and integrated into your ad tech architecture at any point. Today, it's sometimes still possible, but usually they are a part of a marketing platform solution. Think of Adobe Marketing Cloud or Salesforce Marketing Cloud, or as in this case, Google Marketing Cloud and everything except for Criteo that you see on this list. So this also shows in which direction the market is moving. I would assume 5 years from now, these approaches will be the absolute standard. So another thing why it makes sense to start investing today. I'm sorry. Cool. And another great thing about setups like these is that they are highly connectable with tracking tools. And a very nice and integrated setup enables us to get our campaigns being smarter and smarter over all channels automatically. So we know that a lot of clients, the most common analytics and tracking tool we have in our experience in the market is Google Analytics. And specifically this setup that we are showing you right now enables us to not only cross-channel attribute all the data that we are collecting over those setups, but also enables us to push back audience signals into our own audience segments. And this is something very special, which is possible with these setups because those walled gardens, the GAFAs that the media industry always refer to, have one advantage. They collected user data for many, many years, and they are now clustered down into audience segments and audiences that can very precisely be addressed and still under the GDPR developments, this opens us the possibility to go for a many-to-many communication approach. So, yeah, this was the very technical part. And I also know we have CRM people in the room. This could be an even bigger slide that you have just seen. Of course, other touch points like your own websites, email marketing, etc. So we now focused on the external and paid part. But of course, you can think further and further if you go through the whole customer journey. So before we show you how this can look like, just a little quick sum up. Remember, creative multi-moment marketing is a many-to-many approach that always needs some kind of information, especially if you have a broad product, scope. If you have running large-scale campaigns, it won't be manageable at some point anymore. Setups are scalable. You don't have to build everything tomorrow from scratch. You can start small, thinking big, and add tool by tool by tool. It enables you to fluidly optimize your budget because everything that we are doing when steering those campaigns makes our tactics smarter and increases the efficiency in our ad spend over all channels. I'm sorry. And every ad tech investment that you do today, as mentioned, will be a future investment because we see that the whole industry is consolidating right now into these techniques and into the marketing platform approaches. So, and now after the theoretical part, we will show you 2 ways how this can look like.
Thank you. Okay, exactly. With like all that background knowledge, we're now going to have a look into something a little bit more concrete and tangible and have a look at 2 client cases. I'm going to keep it short and sweet, but yeah, let's have a look. The first one is for Just Eat. Just Eat is merged in 2020 from Just Eat, is now Just Eat Takeaway, has before been takeaway.com and Just Eat. And we were the agency that supported them with their, sorry, I have to go over, created in 2020. And the meal delivery platform was working with us since 2020, not only to create the platform itself, but also to realize the paid media marketing setup for them. Oh, sorry. The challenge that phase was broken down to 4 main criteria. The first one was creative repetition. So as we mentioned before, we had like creative details that repeated over and over again. and we had same message to different audiences. So we had like a global creative strategy that was played out in all the markets and not separated for the markets. Then we were stuck in creative guidelines, mean we had the over and over same creatives for all the people. Again, didn't really work. The messages were not a match and they were not personal at all. And the last one was not enough learning, not enough testing. So we never were able to like optimize the campaigns throughout the campaigns itself, but also not afterwards for the upcoming campaigns. What we did was the so-called Project Sunday. So together with, by using Smartly, we set up an automated system that took all the things we just talked about into consideration and created assets at scale. On the next slide, we see the setup. So what we did, we took the key metrics like the different cities, we took like the different areas, restaurant partners, the daytime and different events, and then put it together with the audiences, meaning their food preferences, their mindset, something like I have a night out with my friends or like a big event coming up, or also I'm just searching something for like a movie night by myself. And the last one is dynamic creators via Smartly. So we all did it via Smartly. And what came out, for example, is what you see right here. This was for the Euro sponsorship of Just Eat Takeaway. And what we had here is like a countdown to the different matches regarding the different markets. For example, here it's Spain and Wales. Then we had a talent that also was different talents for different markets, and then we had like different food options, which referred to the mindset of the people. Am I doing it like into the wrong direction, kind of? Okay, so just an overview here. What we had given was like a global creative strategy that needed to be scaled and separated into the different markets for 70 countries and 34 cities. Then we had key metrics like localization, upcoming matches, and talent footage. And then we had the audience things like food preferences, mindset, and team preferences. The results and KPIs were that we had like an up to 60% higher click-through rate, that we had like an impressive 293 million impressions only for the Euros flight. We did a lot of other flights afterwards. And we have like 400% cheaper production versus the manual one by using Smartly and working with like creative options. Oh, that was too fast? Yeah, thanks. And then we have the second case, which is Rituals. Rituals was launched in 2020. I think most of you know it, and Claire mentioned it before. It's a home and body cosmetic brand, and the goal of all the Ritual campaigns is mainly growth. It's also like having a higher revenue in the markets they're already in, like Germany and Netherlands, and then gaining growth in all the other markets, which were at that time rest of Europe and the US. In this and other cases, we partnered with Smartly, and now I only want to say action because we also have a short movie about the case.
Habits, seemingly meaningless moments which we tend to overlook. Rituals, the global cosmetic brand, wants to change that with groundbreaking AI technology that takes personalization to the next level. Meet Rituals AI Center, an innovative platform which predicts customer behavior in real time. It gathers data and uses this to personalize, optimize, and automate all of Ritual's digital media campaigns, making cross-channel personalization in real time a reality. The AI Center was designed by uniting offline and online data to create a 360-degree view of the customer. This information is fused with the power of machine learning to teach the platform to learn from and forecast users' behavior, allowing them to determine who will buy, when they will buy, and what they will buy. The result? A platform which empowers the Rituals marketing team by forecasting a user's real-time conversion, in-market intent, and on- and offline revenue intent in 30 countries. Now, Rituals is able to show their customers personalized ad copy with personalized products and a matching free gift, and they're able to steer the customer towards an online or offline conversion, all fully automated. The impact? Rituals helps their customers in showing what they need, when they need it, and where they should buy it. Being the first brand to have successfully implemented this fully personalized automated strategy, the Rituals AI Center saves the marketing team both resources and money, balancing the ultimate digital personalized experience while maximizing revenue.
Okay. I think this case is pretty impressive, but also just before we dive a little bit deeper into it, I want to say it's also pretty advanced because what we always have to remember is then when we work with rituals, in this case, we started the collaboration in 2014 when it comes to paid media, and in 2018, we added the data setup. So we really had like a lot of data that we could refer to, that we could use, and that we already had in place. And therefore, what we then did to personalize for 22 markets was to build up the 4 foundations to then really make this thing work and enable the data. So we had storage, insights, intelligence, and activation. What the setup looked like, you can see here. I hope you can see well. So on the left side, you see all the touch points we collected the data from, and then put it together in a customized customer data platform that unified all the customer data. In the next step, we used machine learning and business intelligence. So while with business intelligence, we gathered the data and used it for different marketing measurements, with machine learning, we went already like one step ahead. So we created insights and then used descriptive intelligence and topped it off with predictive intelligence. So we already knew what the customer was likely to buy or was likely to do. Also, we used a lot of these insights and the behavior we tracked to then enrich the customer data platform again. The last step was the activation. In this case, a cross-channel audience activation, and no, it was the right one, yeah. Audience activation on orchestration through social, programmatic, media buying, online to offline email marketing. And so we generated like a lot of moments of need and want. And as you can see here, and as I mentioned before, we started in 2014, then topped up in 2018. So what we really like about the Google platform, the Google marketing platform, is that it not only gives you the right tools, but also the chance to top off and develop along your journey, right? And on the next slide, we have like 3 really concrete examples. What I mentioned before is that we have like the tracking of previous purchases and then use this tracking of behavior to predict the next purchase. What this enabled us to personalize the marketing efforts to really, be on spot on what we think will be the next purchase for you, or what we kind of learned through machine learning. The KPI of this was the reduce of 60% cost per sale. Another example is the out-of-stock products. And I think we all know when we put something into the cart and then it's not available anymore and it's kind of really annoying. But in this place, it's not only a newsletter that you get saying, hey, the product is back in stock again, but also like a lot of creative assets that are really tailored for you and show you the product that you were already thinking about. So we are really close to you buying it as a customer, which means the remarketing spend was reduced by 40% because it was really predictable that the customer will also buy it, really buy it. And the last one is quite a simple example, but still was really successful. It was the weather forecast, in this case the UV index. And we matched the weather and the products and had then dynamic creatives that were up to date, I would say. And by this, we had a click-through rate with over 2%, which was one of the highest click-through rates we ever had for display. So overall, again, it's a really advanced approach, but it was also really successful. And with this being said, I think we have some time left for challenges and Q&A.
So, last part. What else do we want you to take home? We collected some ideas and insights on typical challenges that we learn about when we are talking to clients. And maybe you will take this and bring it into the discussions with whether your bosses, your CFOs, whoever might be a little still a little pessimistic about the investments, the approach, and the impact. And for this part, we want you to get a little interactive with us. I hope the energy is still there. Please, if you like to, you can screen these little QR code because we have 3 questions for you that we would love to discuss. No. So,
You don't have to scan the QR code again because it's always the same. We have the same code again on the next slide. So if you scan it once, then you're on the right page. And yeah, we would like to ask you the first question. It's relatively simply. We would like to ask you if you're working for a brand, for example, do you already have different teams for brand communication and performance marketing? And the main question is, are your teams working together as an integrated team or not? So if they are already working integrated, please vote for yes. If not, then please for no. And now we can switch on the live results.
Yes, doesn't surprise us because this is what we usually see, that we have 2 separate teams for brand and performance marketing. So how can you get through the challenges that might come up with setups like this? Sometimes you already work together for some parts. In other cases, the teams are completely isolated from each other. So the first thing, and I'm in this industry for 15 years, and I think we are telling this for 15 years, break the silos. So what you can do, if you have a performance team in your house, that's perfect. Include them into your brand planning activities. They have the insights, they know about your audience, they have data signals, and they also know about the recent trends and possibilities in ad delivery. So they will really help you to stay ahead, especially on the technical side. Also rethink performance ads, because what we often see is when the performance team is running their image or video campaigns, they basically get ready to go assets from the creative team, which was usually briefed by the brand team. So we get into the situation where we are not able to to take advantage of all the technical possibilities that there already are and could be used. Because most of the performance campaigns are run on Google anyway, be it search ads 360, sometimes DV 360. So it's easy to add, for example, Google Studio, as we've just seen, if you open up your mind to create campaigns like this. Little rethink on the side of the creative teams or your creative agencies, but in the long term, very effectful. And then one thing that we see very, very often, track the full user journey, meaning track your brand campaigns as you track your performance campaigns. Meaning not only going for awareness factors and reach, but also how does the user behavior look like as soon as they clicked on your ad, enter your website, your own channels, and move through the whole user journey until they end in the lower funnel. And this will help you in the long term to build strategies like you've just seen and break the loop with multi-moment marketing. Next question.
Yeah, before I start with the next question, you can also ask us open questions in this tool. So please feel free. We have some time in the end to answer your questions. Of course, we will also use the microphone, but if you already have some question in mind, put it into the tool. The next question is, we would like to ask you if this topic or these kind of topics are already part of your discussions internally in your organization. Because we often know or noticed that there are a lot of concerns or arguments against approaches like this, because we have, of course, an initial phase, more investment, which we need to do. For example, to build up the IT infrastructure, of course, we have to invest in some additional tools. So we would like to ask you, is it already a discussion in your organization? Yes or no? If it's not a discussion, please don't vote.
Yeah, that's also what we usually see. And we also brought 3 ideas on how this can be approached in your organization or to take it home to your team and discuss it. So use what you already have. I think most of you will have some things of what we've just seen already in place. Either you run a data warehouse for your products, you track with analytics, you are, as mentioned, using Google DV360 to run campaigns, and connecting those instances or upgrading them, that's not a big investment, and we can go step by step. So it's not that you have to start from scratch and generate cost for everything in the very beginning. Then, this was mentioned in the rituals case, but we see it basically with all campaigns that get into an advanced stage. The production cost reduces long term, because think about, you don't have to deliver full static assets for all channels and all campaign phases for each campaign and flight you are running. You just have the elements, and you can use them long term, combine them, and just add new elements, be it the message, be it the call to action, be it a specific design for your campaign, and just update it during your constant communication. And as mentioned before, and you've seen some nice numbers from our cases, you save on CPMs long term, because all the data signals that we are collecting reduce the usage of manual targeting options when you would usually book programmatically, for example, or do direct bookings in networks like Facebook or on DSPs. So it long-term reduces the CPCs and the CPMs per channel, because the targeting happens on your side. And the last question.
Yeah, the last question. Vio already said that it's our aim today to give you more insights in what we are talking about and to give you a better understanding what we really think is the future. So we would like to ask you, is this overwhelming for you, or do you feel more educated a little bit or inspired? So a really personal question to you.
That's what I'm most looking forward to. Oh, only 30%, 20, great. It gets less and less, so that hopefully gives us the understanding that we could help you in approaching these topics a little better when you return to your companies, to your teams, to your offices tomorrow or on Friday or on Monday, how long ever you stay. So, but still, we want to give you 3 last ideas if there is any discussion coming up, because these are topics we hear a lot about. If you start planning creative multi-moment marketing approaches, you have to start with thinking of the touch points. We've seen this in the very beginning of this presentation. Think about your user journey, get the data insights from your analytics teams, from your CRM teams, and start building the touch points alongside the user journey, and think about the messages that your customers would expect at those touch points. So deliver. Then add feed management. This is so simple, because this enables you for everything that we've just seen today, and thinking about channels like search, for example, or very simple display channels. You can directly start with these approaches. You can test it out. You can learn, and you have done the first step in creating automation. And then choosing your first visual channel. So this can also be set up easily. We've just seen this. One first tool, for example, Smartly or any of the other tools you've seen in the overview, to really create a very first lean set of dynamic creatives. This hasn't to be for your whole marketing planning for the whole year. This can be, for example, your always-on communication, your standard communication. This isn't a lot. And just start working with it, try it out, and it will give you a lot of insights, and you can move forward from this. And that's it. And now we have a little time left for your questions. And yeah, don't know if I have anything in the app. It's not readable, but yeah.
Cool. Yeah, the first question, how could we receive the presentation? I'm not sure if it's shared, but if you like to have it, please ask us after the meeting here. So let's jump to the next one. Rachel is asking, what have you found is the best method of breaking silos and pulling content from omnichannel and cross-platform systems?
This was the whole presentation, what the whole presentation was about. No, we know that this is always an individual constellation. So we talk a lot about the Google Marketing Platform today, but for example, if you're already running on Salesforce Commerce Cloud, it could make completely sense for you to stack up with Salesforce Marketing Cloud, and this could be your first step, right? So it really depends on what is already there. But if this question is about on how to bring this into an organization, is from my experience and also from a lot of years working in performance marketing, just trying it out, doing first campaigns, and share the results and open the discussion. Test and learn. Yeah, there are some very specific questions, like the iOS 14 one. We are still here for a couple of minutes, so I don't know whose question that was, but we are super happy to discuss this. And also video content, TikTok style. Yes, you can do this as well. We've seen Smartly, connectable with TikTok, and also available for moving images and video assets. So that's possible as well.
Yeah, and maybe to mention, the most of our assets are video assets. We don't talking about static assets so much. The most of one are already animated.
So, smaller companies, tech companies, so what clients are we doing this for? I think a lot of questions are about this. So, there's a nice overview on our website on the clients we are working for. You've seen 2 examples with Rituals and Just Eat, 2 completely different segments. We have one FMCG good with a very strong brand, and we have one software service provider. So this approach is applicable for every business, for every scenario you could think of. It's then about the individualization of the architecture behind this and the communication concept that you need to have to tackling this approach best. I hope this was specific enough for the questions, but those questions are a lot. So, no, have you any other that you want to address?
Maybe the technical one is maybe also interesting. Can this setup replace the CDP? Is this already a partial CDP solution using BigQuery, etc.?
Yes, the Rituals one was exactly that case. And as mentioned before, I know that this was for the people here sitting with a little bit more knowledge and a little bit more experience in these kind of topics. This can be maximized a lot. Once from the data perspective and the insights and everything that we are including into the signals and audience segmentation, but also from the outcome perspective, so which channels we address and what we need for that. And also I think there was a question about a data scientist and a BI expert, I guess. And that's not usually the case. So sometimes with very complex solutions like Rituals, of course, we have data engineers and business intelligence specialists that help our clients with developing all the logics and everything that also needs to be done within those setups. But in other cases, it's easily doable. For example, if you have an educated performance team in-house, because they are usually also used to work with these kind of sources. So, yeah.
Another one?
I think we are good from the timing, or.
Or we can also ask openly if someone would like to.
We didn't expect that so many questions would be put into the tool, but yeah. Thank you. if you like to get in touch with us or have more specific questions, this is Franci's LinkedIn contact. She will be happy to introduce you as a first point of contact, but we're also here for a couple more minutes, so don't hesitate, feel free to come to the front to us and talk to us. Thank you all for listening and also staying so long for this quite complex topic. Have fun.
Thank you.
think it's time for you to have your lysergic acid.
Everything is in color, and I can feel the air. I can see it. I can see all the molecules. It's here. This is reality.